Good morning, everyone. Here I am in Kamloops, British Columbia, and I'm welcoming you all to the after chat of Humanity Rising. I see you, Trisha, and I see Hyacinth and Andrew. I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Liliana. I heard
You,
somebody.
you
Yeah.
know what I love about this? It's becoming mainstream now. It can't be hidden anymore.
Isn't it exciting? Oh, I'm so thrilled to be able to listen to Jude in there she is, Jude. You are so thrilling to me, Jude. Honestly,
Hey, Jude. This
thank
is
you so
fun.
much
This
for
is fun.
coming and being and doing and oh, you are a star. Please turn on your microphone and
Thank you,
never turn it off.
Shannon. It's just such a joy to be with everyone and what exciting times. And, for me, all that the Humanity Rising family and community has done is extraordinary because it's given such a wonderful home for people to explore and learn and be with each other in these times. So thank you, Shannon.
Oh, absolutely. Jude, that's exactly what I think Stan had in mind when he opened this space. He wanted some friends to talk to. And I can't say as I blame him. Let's face it, we were going into lockdown and uh, it was a terrible time,
Mm.
except for Humanity Rising. And I thank Jim every day for Humanity Rising because my life has completely changed because of it. Um, and I think that it is by far the mechanism that Gaia is using to help us form, to
Mm,
inform us.
absolutely.
And Diana is modeling perfect behavior. This is how we communicate here in the after chat. Diana, come on in.
Yeah, thank you. I thoroughly agree with everything both of you are saying. It's absolutely wonderful, and I am so thankful for it. Jude, I have a question. You mentioned that you've been working with Grant Story.
Mhm.
Can you tell us anything more about him, what you're doing?
Sure. Well, Grant, you spell his name Storry,
Okay.
and he is a philosopher, an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur, but a deeply, I'd say, spiritual, conscious thinker and doer. And we've been working together on something called the Deep and Rapid Transformation Convergence, which is a heck of a mouthful, but it actually came out of a call by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, who said, without a deep and rapid transformation in the way we approach everything, we're not going to be able to get where we need to get to, whether it's with the SDGs or in any other way. And so a group of us who'd already been working together from a unitive perspective thought, well, let's take it the next level because last September, the UN came forward with what they call the Summit of the Future and the Pact for the Future and the Pact for Future Generations. And while the work we're doing is not joined at the hip at all with the UN, it is a major conversation. And what we're looking to do is to see how we can serve transformation change in the world coming from a unitive perspective. So Grant came forward as he is the co-founder of something called Kiiren, KIIREN.com, which is Kiiren also AI. But it's very much the whole process is human led, but AI supported. So what we found it incredibly helpful is to work with Grant and Kiiren to bring all of our roundtable discussions, all our gatherings, all our suggestions, all our initiatives, all our projects to cross pollinate them in a much more rapid and effective way. So we're working together on that. And we're also working together on what I mentioned as the science of unitive love, which is the power of love.
Yeah.
The power of love on a
Is there any
universal
link
human.
is there any link or anything to that? Is there any way we can find out what's going on?
I think Shannon has put a link. Thank you, Shannon. You've put a link in the chat to Grant, so you can see some of the things he's involved with. But yeah.
Well, thank you.
he,
It is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Diana. Thank you.
Richard.
Good morning and hello again, Jude. We last met at when I was your Noetics Conference bookseller, and you always were uplifting. So speaking of uplifting, you addressed today diversity, equity, and inclusion. Perhaps I also heard you reference the necessity for what shows up in the evolution. Could you address the necessity for this present horror in our necessary advancement, please?
Gosh. I think for me, the most important thing is with all the truly shocking things that are coming forward, that if I get into judgment of them as opposed to discernment of them, then I'm perpetuating the polarization, I'm perpetuating the duality. So what I'm seeking to do is to first of all be discerning and appreciate that sometimes you have to break eggs to create an omelette. There's other aspects that are calling me to show up and say, this is not right for me. I don't accept this. Because what we've tended to do is we've given power to others. We've been really good, not just of getting to the myth of separation, but, disempowering ourselves within that process. So part of this, it seems to me, is a call to each and every one of us to say, what do we stand for? And I'd rather stand for something than stand against something. So it's a personal choice for me to say, I stand for love. I stand for wholeness. I stand for justice. I stand for kindness. I stand for integrity as best I can be. And then what I do is I seek to serve that by linking up and lifting up with others. And I'm a great fan of, as I said earlier, both ands. So rather than the either ors and good bads and all the rest of it, but also I'm a great fan of the coalitions of the willing. When I find folks who feel this way and are willing to get their sleeves up and work towards this. I mean, I'm working with a gentleman called Youssef Mahmoud, and Youssef was an ex-Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and is now working as a very senior advisor for the International Peace Institute globally. And he worked in Africa for a long time. And he was given a huge amount of resources to do all sorts of things under the auspices of the United Nations. But what he said to me is that after many years of doing this and learning a lot of lessons, he was highly suspicious of folks who want to be a force for good. Because in his experience, it led to a lot of unintentional consequences, unintended consequences. So it seems to me to come back to ourselves and our own inner sense of what do we stand for, and then how do we share that in service with the world. So that's the best I can answer, because otherwise I think we go round and round in circles in terms of the them and the us, and they're wrong and we're right. And I'm always slightly suspicious of that one within myself.
Uplifting as always. Thanks, Jude.
Thanks, Richard.
Absolutely. I want to say, Jude, how inspiring you are, because we have so many hands up. Everybody wants to speak to you, and that is really quite remarkable.
Thank you, Shannon.
Maureen,
Sue, hello.
Yes, and she's in the lineup too, isn't she? Yes, she is. She's in the lineup right after Maureen. Come on in, Maureen.
How exciting. I didn't know I was next. Well, hello, everyone, and hello, Jude. You are
Hi,
at the
Maureen.
top of my heroes list, I must say. And my work is inner resonance technologies that one day we can have a conversation around. And so I'm curious about one of the things that you mentioned early in the in our time together today, and you said it's beyond quantum. So can you help me understand what is beyond quantum?
Maureen, I'm sorry. Sometimes I say quantum is so last century. And what I mean by that is that quantum physics describes energy matter, okay, quantized energy matter conserved throughout the whole story of our universe. Quantum physics of itself has no notion of space and time. That's where relativistic physics come in. And relativity, for me, the genius of Einstein wasn't that he appreciated that time is relative to an observer and space is relative to an observer. He realized that to understand our universe, he had to bring those two together in what he called space time. And the point of that is space time isn't relative, it's invariant. So we can use that notion of space time together to tell the story of our universe evolving. Whereas quantum physics just talks about energy matter and our universe existing. So you need both and. So what my work has done is taken the both and expanded the three laws of thermodynamics to three laws of information or infodynamics. Because we're realizing, as the film talks to, is that information, meaningful information, is more fundamental than energy, matter, and space time. Those are the appearance of our universe. But when we look deeper, we realize that underpinning and pervading all of that is meaningful information. So we put together a glossary of terms around the film on the wholeworldview.org website to try and explain that I'm not throwing out anything, but what I think science does when it progresses is it includes and expands, it includes and transcends. So what we're doing is taking quantum physics and relativity physics, and we're taking them into the science of consciousness, the science of love. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because what we're talking about is universal consciousness expressing itself in our wondrous universe.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. Because my work addresses the quantum superconscious mind,
Yes.
where everything is possible. And so it allows the superconscious quantum self to shift and clear any no longer relevant resistance or static, so that we have that clear connection, that we do remember who we are, and then automatically arise in loving conscious universe, that Connie and Andrew talk about.
Absolutely.
And we do a lot of collaborative work together. So
Right.
it's an allowing of clearing everything that's not us. Like Rumi said, do not seek love, seek to remove the barriers to love. And that is the purpose and the function of IRT, if you will, inner resonance technologies. So I just wanted to understand what beyond quantum was, and I love that. Thank you so much, because it's and some more.
Exactly so. And if our universe wasn't whole, wasn't unitive, wasn't unified on a non-local basis, quantum physics wouldn't work at all. So is that, again, it's that both and.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And the both and is that non-local wholeness, and yet within space-time is our opportunity to evolve and have this conversation, which we wouldn't have if it was just that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Because I search for the evolving language in which to describe how to present what I do. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And have a look at the glossary on wholeworld.view-view.org, because, these are, just as quantum was a new term back in the day. So, information, holotropic attractors, cosmic they're all unfamiliar, but they're all, I hope, able to help us understand this emergent and deeper perspective. So thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maureen. Sue and then Leila. Come on in, Sue.
Yeah, Jude, hi.
Hi, Sue. How are you doing?
Yeah, we saw this movie, a little preview of it at the Evolutionary Leaders, and everyone was very deeply affected by it. And I share your absolute love of the very beginnings of little things like virus and bacteria and all these brilliant creators, and the fact that the caterpillar has within it all the organs needed
Absolutely.
for the
Yeah.
butterfly. So it's like us, we have it all within us. We just have to dissolve our sense of separation and ego, and then voila, there we are with that. I was also really intrigued by the fact of the sort of confluence that you were speaking of and others have spoken of how rapidly the destruction and the ascension is happening. And if you look at the cycles of the astrological cycles in particular, you see this sort of massive change to fire and air, which is like putting enormous energy behind all these changes, whether it's for clearing away the old or bringing in the new. And
Absolutely.
my work is focusing now on preparing people for this, because the shock of recognition is not always easy, and adjusting to it is not always easy. So working to help people when they get these downloads or they get all of this information, helping them to integrate it so that they can become who they are without having this trauma from this experience. So I'm wondering if you could say a little bit about sort of that in-between state when the new comes in, the old is leaving, but they haven't quite made that transition yet. And there's this time of preparation where it could either be make things worse for the person, make things better for the person, could be weaponized, could be used for greater good. That sort of liminal space where the energy, which is neutral, could go either way depending on our filter and our intention and our education, as you were saying. Could you talk a little bit about that space there?
Yeah, I mean, liminal spaces have always been spaces of initiation. They've been that sort of those step places from one way of being to another way of being. And I think what we're going through now, we can describe it in many ways, whether it's metamorphosis, whether it's midwifing, a new way of being, whether it's conscious evolution. And I feel that in these liminal spaces which we are in, and as you say, the astrology is extraordinarily powerful, especially this year and the next. You know, there comes a point in a birthing process, and I've not been through this, ladies, myself, but I have many friends who have. I think there comes a point where you just breathe and push. You just breathe and push. There's nothing else you can do because the birth is coming. The birth is coming. And I would say that's my sense of what's happening. So the more we can literally, it sounds so silly and straightforward, but breathe together. Breathe into this potential together. I talked a bit earlier about, the big breath of our universe breathing through our little breaths. That vastness is breathing through us in each moment. So to open ourselves to that potential, open us to that invitation, and appreciate the benevolence of the process. That with all the choppy waters and all the turbulence and all our own, perspectives around it, the evolutionary process, the universal and planetary process is benevolent. So the more we can settle into that, the more we can trust that, the more that we can consciously breathe in the big breath of a loving universe, the more it seems to me that we have the resilience and the trust and the hope to go forward. And the more we can come together and be in our communities and link up and lift up together and support each other, that for me is absolutely vital, because we cannot do this in the me space alone. We have to realize we're in the we space if we're going to move together into the all space. That's
the guides that I work with, and a few of us work with, about a week ago or so, they started there. It was like a buzz, in the higher realm about excitement about what's happening on the inner levels with humanity. They were getting really excited about it, and we were saying, "Well, can you give us more?" He says, "Oh no, you've got to work that out for yourself."
Exactly. They can't do it
A
for
nuclear
us.
war,
Exactly.
that's off the table. But you got to work out the rest for yourself. And
But
he
we're
said,
here. We're here.
"Yeah, I've been particularly focused on the body because people really need to
Absolutely.
really change that, and also that healing, as you say, as you trust or you surrender, that this healing can happen very quickly. And I had a very good example of that, where I had a tremendous amount of pain, and I had to push through to gratitude for all of it. And all of a sudden, and I'm not totally sure exactly how this happened, but every offense I had ever created against someone else and felt bad about, and every offense they had ever done to me and I couldn't let go of, it all dissolved. It was gone. And my mind was unusually quiet. And it's lasted. I mean, every time I start to race, that's done. So I think that's to your point, with the love that can where healing can take no time, and that can speed up the process. All right. Thanks so much.
You're so
We'll
welcome.
talk
You're
more.
so welcome. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, an ongoing conversation.
yes, it is. Okay.
Thanks very much, Sue. Layla, and then Michael and Layla.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Jude, thank you so much for your work and for your time here sharing, accommodating our questions. Apologies, I don't have my camera on. I am actually in a cocoon stage where a lot is happening in my body, so I do apologize. I'm going to refer to the mystics, how they described that void, this luminous void, and draw my own experience into that. At the age of 13, I was in Egypt, a temporary on a temporary basis, and one day I woke up realizing that I was in that void with the most beautiful, amazing love on my right and pure information or eternal information on my left. Now, I have been going through all my life, didn't share it for 50 years, but now I'm sharing it because I am preparing something, writing my experience down. And there is one thing, if you could help me process, because I think it is the representation of both left and right hemisphere, where there is pure heart and pure logic, but in a static motion. There was no movement. I was suspended in a void. Some scientists are drawing parallels with black holes, bringing it into a different reality, another dimension. Do you have any access to any feedback on that, please?
I think, thank you, Layla, for sharing that. And I would say that in my experience, just I mentioned the word quantum quantum has become a brand almost. And rather than really understanding what it means, and I think there is that too now with black holes. When I was 19 and studying at Oxford University, I wrote an essay on black holes. Yeah, and I won the university prize, blah, blah. Kept me in beer money for a term, so I was very happy. But so I've been around black holes since I was 19 years old, when they were really just coming into a perspective that they could be something that was part of the reality of our universe. So for me, a black hole, whether it's a stellar black hole or a supermassive black hole, is part of the sentience of our universe. But in my own experience, as yours, of sort of that no thingness, which is part of our journey of initiation. I know Sue knows a lot about this as well. I don't tend to equate it or use that terminology for it. But what I do feel is going back to universal wisdom traditions. They tend to teach that that is a time of letting go all that we've known. And so it's a time in a way of emptiness, but it's also a time of potential. It's almost like a time of pregnancy where we're letting go so that we can open to what can come forward. So I don't describe it in black hole terms, but I do describe it as no thingness, that sense of just being in a void. And when it happened to me about 23 years ago, after I'd done a lot of journeying, I was in that place for 9 months and I had no idea whether I was going to come out the other end of it. And I just had to let go. As Sue says, I just had to literally surrender and trust the universe. And I did. And I realized afterwards, because often, as is said, we live life forward and understand it backwards. It was only when that process had completed and I was open to the possibility of the next chapter that I appreciated what had happened. And truly was grateful for that because I let go of so much that no longer served me. But at the time, I didn't know that that was what was happening. And so I would say to anyone who's going through that process, there are so many more companions now that we can have the conversations with as we're going through all these steps of our journeys of becoming and evolving and growing and learning, that none of us have to go through those journeys alone. And so I'm really appreciative that for a long time you didn't share and now you are sharing. And I'm so happy that you're in a community where you can share and be nurtured through that journey, Layla.
Thank you, Jude. I really appreciate that you're sharing your experience. And I studied psychology maybe for for this process. You work on yourself.
Nothing's wasted. Nothing's wasted.
No,
Exactly.
nothing.
Is this living forward and understanding backwards? Absolutely.
It
Thank you.
was the case. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much. And I really look forward to meeting you one day.
Thank you, Layla.
Thank you for
Bless
your
you.
work. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Layla. Michael and then George.
Yeah, good day. Thank you very much, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Jude, it is a pleasure to see and listen to you once again. It's such a joy to have a conscious leader here, evolution leader in their midst here. I find it quite funny that, coincidental that we have you created in 2017 the whole world view.
Mm-hmm.
And Stan has been working his whole life on the whole world catalog, and that's something that maybe you two can get together and see about working together on bringing the source to the world. But on another note, thank you very much for the books. One of the books you wrote, the Eighth Chakra, was one of my favorites. We've discussed the field of the body in this room to quite an extent, and there are quite a number of people who are attuned in this room to the very aspects. And I just want to say thank you very much for everything you're doing for humanity and being open to the universe. And I just wanted to ask, wanted to deal with one subject that for many years about the water that I've been involved in. So the aspect of the cohesiveness of the states of water and their relativeness to each other in the transformation. So the transformation of liquid to gas and so forth, right to the fourth stage, fourth state. Now the fourth state is not something that a lot of people have a consciousness of and needs to be brought forth and studied a lot further. You know, I feel that this could be the bridge to that cohesiveness, so that the state that helps the states move between each other, just as we humans move between each other, without you know, we bump into each other, but we don't cohese together, right? You know, right? We don't blend together, even though we're just a big bag of walking water type thing, right? So, if you could just speak to a little bit about uh, what you might know about that aspect of the change uh, of water at the quantum level as well. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Jude.
well,
It's a pleasure to listen to you.
thank you, Michael. And thank you for asking the question. I mean, I think we might defer a sort of more detailed conversation because it seems that Jim wants to have a whole session on water. And we can come back to that and discuss it in a lot
Okay.
more detail. But I think what you're referring to, at least part of what you're referring to, is the work that Jerry Pollock's been doing and what he
Yes,
calls
Jerry.
dead water. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And it is very, I mean, it's absolutely fundamental to biological processes. And what's really so significant is the vast amounts of water or ice, as I mentioned, that there are in interstellar molecular clouds that are crucial. So, you know, back in the day, there was a whole discussion about how biological life formed on Gaia. And there was a theory called panspermia that Fred Hoyle and Chandrasekhar and others came up with in the 60s. And now we're realizing, you know, and for years that was decried and nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. But as I mentioned earlier, you know, the evidence is very, very powerful that all the, you know, prebiotics, all the biological harbingers for more complex life on planetary systems were there in those molecular clouds and were seeded. We're literally not just stardust, we're star seeds. That seeding came from those clouds so that, you know, 5 billion years plus ago, when the explosion of a supernova, we reckon about 200 light years away, caused the shock waves caused such a cloud or a section of a cloud to collapse to form our planetary system. It did so not in chaos, but in resonance and order. And then subsequently, as we're now finding more and more, the water of our planetary home and those biological harbingers, those organic molecules, literally were seeded. And that gave us a very rapid continuation of that journey of evolution. So I think when we come back to that session on water, I'd like to talk about the whole universal story of water because it is quite extraordinary. Um,
Yes.
and therefore, of course, it embodies consciousness. And what I'm loving, I've just been in New Zealand, and I think New Zealand was the first country in the world to legally give a river the
Legal
sentience
name.
of personhood. And literally on the day that I left New Zealand, a week or so ago, the government gave personhood to a mountain, Taganaki, and the
Yes. Thank you.
surrounding area. So, you know, I think this is so important that we realize that Gaia sentience is throughout her Gaia sphere, as the film says, and not just through her biological children.
Yeah, thank you very much. I look forward to that session for sure. Uh,
Thank,
thank
thank you,
you very
Mike.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too. This is so
Yes, Shannon. Woo!
exciting.
That's when
Okay.
we get to sparkle. You are the sparkle on the lips of the water. Yes, yes.
Oh, thank you. Uh, thank you so much. George and then Janice. Come on
Oh,
in,
I
George.
just wanted to mention, Shannon. I didn't know if you know, but the video aspect of you can't turn your videos on and off. Something's happening in the background, and so it's causing a conflict of turning the video on and off. You could look into that. Thank you very much. Sorry for the interruption. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Michael. Private message me so I can understand better what you're talking about.
Yeah, I tried to do that, but the
Private message me.
messaging is not allowing me to contact you for some reason. It's
Oh,
giving
really?
me, yeah, something just happened in.
All right.
I've
You
been
know,
receiving other
yeah,
private messages, so
yeah, okay,
this
thank you.
is an issue for me, not for Shannon. So
okay.
Okay, thank you, Stanley. I thought you knew
Thank
that.
you so much. George and then Janice. Hey, George.
Hi, thank you. A couple of things. A beautiful talk, just like the most important information that we could be hearing right now. And I wondered if you could share some ideas, and I know your work embodies this, but if there was like a one or two things that humans can do to, assist themselves through this transition. What are the most important kind of North Stars to keep in mind?
This sounds so simple, George, and I'm a simple girl. I'm the daughter and granddaughter of coal miners, so I was brought up, to keep life simple if possible. I really do think it's to breathe, and every time we breathe, the universal wisdom teachings put a huge focus on the breath. And in the ancient Indian tradition, the Vedic tradition, the word for breath was the same as for spirit, prana. And their perspective that we literally are part of the universal breath. They describe the universe, the breath of Brahman. And I describe our universe as the big breath, which is the breath of the cosmos. Even that realization, the sheer privilege of being alive here and now and being able to breathe. And perhaps it's the one thing and the most simple thing that joins all of us. We all breathe. And there's some statistics that say when we take a breath in, we're breathing molecules that Einstein breathed, that Newton breathed, that Jesus breathed, that Buddha breathed. Our breath, we share with all of us, and every biological child of Gaia shares the breath, and we all share it as part of the big breath of our universe. So just be conscious of that. There's something that, for me at any rate, that brings me into such an intimate relationship with all our, so that's one thing, breath. And there's techniques of breath. We tend to breathe in the West very shallowly. We don't really take the breath in deeply. Google Buddha breath or Google ways of just taking very simply, breathing a deep breath in and then holding it and breathing out. And when we breathe it in, have the consciousness of breathing in all of that life and love and evolutionary potential into us. And as we breathe out, share what we can serve as part of that. So that's one. And then the other is choose love. Choose love.
That's beautiful. There was a Jerry Anderson from the Mystic Monastery, and he spoke about someone asked a question about how do you tell when darkness is trying to infringe on the field, and he said it will always create separation, and it will always maintain the status quo. It will resist change.
Yeah.
And so those two things too. And I think that the whole resonance around love and harmony and flow through the entire system. From a breath perspective, there's a guy named Stig Severinsen who holds his breath for over 20 minutes. And he has a whole program called Breathology that's pretty amazing in that. I'm a surfer, so holding breath is a good
You know
tool
what to
for me.
do. You know what to
Yeah.
do.
And the other on the Stardust question, I visited Richard Berger's collection, the Masterpieces of the Earth collection of crystals. And when I walked into the exhibition, I started to see like laser pointers going from the crystals into my body. And different crystals activated different parts of my body. And I think that is something that's common in the communication between the star seeds and us that is very beautiful. And so thank you.
I agree. That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that, George.
Janice and then Marty. Come on in, Janice.
And guys, I've only got to the quarter of the hour, so I do apologize, but
You've been very generous with your time.
Come on in, Janice.
Hi, Jude.
I have to cook dinner, guys. I have to cook dinner for my husband.
So you do all those human daily things as well. Listen, I just have to vent that I'm a little cranky with you today because I leave for Australia next week right now, and I was not planning to watch Humanity Rising, but only watch the after on YouTube. And when I saw that you were going to be on it, I had to change my whole schedule.
Janice,
anyway,
I'm so
a couple
sorry.
of quick things. I just wanted to connect with you and say that I love space is the universe breathing and time is our universe thinking. Those were real tipping point remarks for me because it's such a great way to explain those the relationship, I think. And the other thing that was really gave context for me is when you were talking about our galactic relatives and you had asked them whether they went through pinch points and to they said that they actually really did do that. And when you asked what was it that brought them to the next level was that I think you said they remembered their unitive narrative. And so it's in remembering. And I just wanted to know if there was any expansion you could give us on that remark, because for those of us who are really open to getting more communication from our galactic relatives and for being able to implement that in our daily lives. When I go through a pinch point or when people around me that I love do, what are the things we can do to recognize that? One last thing, this is a question. I'm going to send this in an email later, but you know Napier Martin, don't you? Okay, I need to get in touch with them, and all of a sudden I've not been able to. I'll explain it to you if you will. I don't want to take time here, but it's imperative that I reach him before I go to Australia because it's something we're both involved in, and I'll explain it in an email. So particularly if you could address the pinch point. It's so great to know that even our advanced galactic relatives went through that. Wow, it's heartening.
It is heartening, and the response came back immediately. And what they said, Janice, was we came to understand. So the understanding was important, but beyond that, and experience and embody unitive awareness. So it wasn't just getting it; it was how to. And Sue's work does this, and so many of you do this amazing work. Understanding's important, but not everybody needs to know how to build a car. But most people, if you either need to drive or to be able to be a passenger and know the wheels aren't going to come off. So it's that experiential aspect of this which is most important to me, and the embodiment as a result. So it is the experiencing of wholeness, of unity, and love is that. Unitive love is foundational. So however we can bring that into our lives, and it can be, what makes our hearts sing, what makes us feel joyous, what brings us into that wonder state of childhood, often it's so simple. We overcomplicate it.
Well, then maybe what it is if each and every one of us look for that in that unitive narrative in our own in our authentic self. Then what we do is if you reach that in your authentic self, you begin to embody it. And as each person embodies it, it sends that ripple out for the collective body.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it always comes back to it starts within, huh? It's an inside job.
That's the job. It's an inside job. Absolutely, it's an inside job. Yes. And then it ripples. It does ripple out. It does radiate out. And then we can link up and lift up together. And always, that is more than the sum of our parts. Every time there's that greaterness that is more than, you know, 1 and 1 is 3. It's that greaterness that when we come together, we can co-create miracles. That's what this is about.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Jude. And I'm going to try to slip Marty in here just before you leave. Come on in, Marty. Can't hear
Marty,
you.
you're on mute.
There you are.
It worked. Wow. I'm
Yay.
delighted. And I'm so happy to have this opportunity to interact with Jude and everybody else. And it's just so compelling to be able to interact at a distance like this and ask a question and get an answer. It's awesome. And I really appreciate what Stan and Shannon and Jim are doing to make this possible. It's just earth-shattering. I just like to connect with the idea of that there are many ways to move forward. And I like the concept of we space and all space and galactic friends. And there's something a colleague of mine has been developing, and it's very, I think, much on point with what everything is going on here. And he calls it ladies and gentlemen. And what it is that when we're addressing relationships and energy, what we do is we want to focus it. It could be on a subject, not necessarily a person-to-person relationship. It could be like composing and writing and singing or whatever. And the idea is that we invite ladies and gentlemen, thousands and thousands of love gestures who are a spiritual team and guide members who are fascinated and interested to see what we're doing for the first time. And we're doing it not only for ourselves or the people in the room, it's for everyone in the world who's experienced the same challenges, or let me say, opportunities to learn. And so I wanted to have
You're refusing to wear the shoes that are good for your feet.
Feedback for
the newer ones that are not falling apart, that you didn't trip twice over because they broke on your feet.
That's over my head. I'm sorry. So I was wanting to get some feedback from Jude about that concept of having thousands and thousands of love gestures and what they are. They're up there and they're peering down around the Earth or wherever, or from other galaxies and exoplanets. And what they're doing is that they're curious to see, oh, we're finally doing something different. And that what we're doing is that we want to see how we can do this for all people, like I said, all around the world experiencing the same thing. And they're chatting with each other, and there are galactic friends, like having Jesus in the room in the lounge with the feet up, and we're refreshing beverage, and maybe we'll poke each other in the arm and say, how can we do this with a little bit more fun? So how do you respond to that? This comes from John Heaney from Ottawa, Canada, a fellow Canadian.
Well, first of all, I love what you said about fun. When, from the age of 4, Marty, I've experienced multidimensional realities. And so I've learned, my mum used to say, I'll speak with anybody. She had no idea how many anybodies I was speaking with. But because of those communications and the joy of those and the privilege that's open to all of us, I sort of learned that being light in communication, being playful in communication, being joyous and fun and loving in communication attracts that, all that you're sharing. It just attracts it. I remember I was teaching a workshop in Dublin some years ago, and we were talking about multidimensional communications. And the lady who was hosting the workshop and myself said, I've never seen an orb. I would love to see an orb, but I've never seen an orb. So what we did is we just lightened the thing. I got them dancing, I got them singing, I got them, just playfully. And suddenly her garden was full of orbs and she was absolutely crying, but it was tears of joy. And so I think that the more we can breathe, we breathe in love, we breathe out love, the more we can be joyful and generous and kind and fun with each other, then we attract that. And not just, beyond Gaia and all the wonderful, galactic friends we have, but also all the multidimensional realms of Gaia, the angelic realms, the elemental and devic realms are all for us and with us. And the more we can remember that and be in loving relationship and joyful relationship with each other and them, for me, that is the way forward. And what a joyful, wonderful way forward it can be.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you from all realms and deep inside my heart, Jude. The first time I ever was aware of orbs, I was at Tibetan Fire Circle, and her helper went around borrowing cameras, and she would take photographs. And it was like being within a flurry of jellyfish.
Yeah.
They were just all around us and with us. And oh my. And
yes,
that is the truth of it. We just can't see them.
Absolutely. And the more joyful, Shannon, and fun we have, they want to play. They love playing. I love playing.
I know. I call it mom, Jude. The magic in ordinary moments.
I love that.
We need to change God to mom. There's so much baggage that goes along with God that we need to play with mom.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thank you so much for coming, Jude. I look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Shannon.
Absolutely.
I do too. And Connie and Sue, I do apologize. I do have to go. But to the next time, and lots of love to everyone. Thank you all.
Enjoy your dinner, Jude.
Thanks so much, Jude.
Thank you, everyone. Lots of love. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Sorry about my outburst, everybody, to my mom. I just put an apology here. I didn't know it was muted.
These things happen, Janice. Thanks,
Okay.
we understand.
She's hard of hearing, and she had the broken shoes that she already fell with them the other day.
Let's not do that again.
Janice,
We're
Janice,
going
I
to the
thought you were being very,
chiropractor.
Janice,
Anyway,
I thought you were being
apologize.
very, I thought you were being very philosophical with what Marty was saying.
Oh, okay. Connie's up next. Come on in.
Humor.
I have you on power. Well, I'll be back.
Oh, well, I just had a question for Jude, so I'll let it go. And Sue, you can
Ask us. Maybe the collective can answer it for you here, Connie, with all we learned today.
Yeah, well, yeah, Jude's a good friend. She's a good supporter of our work, the Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm that takes us beyond duality into that space of frequency where we'll get to make contact with those folks who want to connect with us. So, so it was really great to have her on Humanity Rising, and really her work going viral around the world is just a sign that we're getting there. You know, we're getting into that frequency. And so I was just going to speak to her about, you know, us getting to the frequency of our galactic neighbors, you know, that it is a collective frequency thing, and ask her thoughts on the fact that it's really has to do with vibration and frequency, and our responsibility to feed the collective consciousness with the highest vibration we are capable of in these times. Just because, and of which she's spoken of, is that we're getting there, and that it is, we are one with all that is, and everything we do, say, and feel affects all that is. So we just have to really take that in and apply it. And it is a process, and it's hard, you know, in these times, moving from fear, scarcity, separation systems that have had us responding at that level into the higher frequency. So I just wish everybody luck, and just to know how important everything we do, say, think, and feel matters. So
I completely concur with you, Connie. I'm so grateful for your work, and I loved the book, The Trust Frequency. And it reminds me, it makes me feel that we need to be as aware of the vibrations around us and that come through us as George is on his waves when he's surfing. And so let's surf those vibrations together in a good way.
Let me just say one more thing
Sure.
before it jumps off, and that is that this trust frequency construct takes us beyond the dualities of right, wrong, good, evil, victim, perpetrator, which is the big leap into that field that Rumi speaks of. Okay, so just have a look at our tennis. It's a construct on the nature of the universe that resolves that paradox, that it is in fact all love, that gives us everything we ask for. What are our requests? Our consciousness. Okay, 7 aspects of our consciousness. Anyway, it is love, and Jude really supports our work in this regard. So thank you.
Absolutely, Connie. Thanks. And there's troughs between the high points and the waves where the sparkles are. And it's all still one ocean of love. Thank you so much. Sue, come on in.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe inject a little humor in this too, in the light of what Jude was saying. I don't know, people may have heard this joke, but do you know how Trump got the idea for taking over Gaza?
No.
He saw free Palestine signs everywhere and decided, free land. What's not to what's not to love about that? Free Palestine. All right, I'm in there.
Yeah.
So,
no.
but also, Connie, I met Connie and Andrew at one of the World Parliament of Religions, and they're amazing. So really check their work out if you don't know them and that, but it's wonderful. And also, for people who may not have seen it or know about him, Dr. David Clements is also a one-time physicist, theoretical physicist, mathematician who got into more of the spiritual area. And he does, there's an incredible interview of him on YouTube by Pam Gregory.
Yes.
With the Gaia connection. And he talks about the infinity point inside us that matches the infinity point of the source, and that it's very individual. So nobody else but you can get into your infinity port, your little point in there. So it's incredibly respectful of free will. So if you decide you don't want that, it will not intrude. If you decide you do want it, then you're open to it and you can, sky's the limit there. And I thought that was really impressive because he talked about plasma fields that he and there's a Tom, I can't remember his last name, but someone who also worked with him building equipment that created these plasma fields that respected the boundaries of the field. And you could feel a very clear limitation, like a boundary to the energy and then not energy. And he talked about that in terms of being responsive to your requests, to your mind. You could invite it out, it would come out, and then it would go back in. And I thought it was really unusual. I had not heard people talking about respecting free will, the source point in you being unique to you so that no one else can get in there and mess around with it. So it was really, it's quite amazing. It's about an hour. It's only about an hour long. And Pam is a really good interviewer. She knows when to stay quiet and not keep intruding. Oh, that reminds me of like some interviewers do, and they get off track and you lose the person's thought. So I really encourage you to look at Dr. David Clements, Clements, and Pam Gregory is her interview of him. It's quite remarkable. And he's also full of humor. So he's laughing all the time about all of this because it's so incredible. And one other joke, just one more, and this was told by a rabbi. He said, when Israel took over the Wailing Wall, this rabbi went to the Wailing Wall and prayed 3 times a day for peace in the Middle East. He did this for 50 years. And finally, a reporter who heard about this came up and asked him, so you've been here for 50 years? And he said, yes. Praying for world peace, for peace in the Middle East? Yes. So, well, what's your impression of all of this? He said, it was like talking to a wall. Okay, I'll get off.
Sue, we're not an easy
That was
audience.
good.
Like talking to a wall. Yeah, David Clements, I came across him just a little bit ago, and I've put in two links to videos of him and Pam Gregory together. He did one just 6 days ago. So I think that it's very timely that you bring him in. I find him to sound very angelic at times, to the point of, you're an angel in a human's body. Get out of there.
He's bewildered by it too sometimes. It's like,
I'm sure. I'm sure.
yeah.
This has been an amazing day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being a part of my reality. You know, I'm really quite amazed at the difference between 4 years ago and now. What were you guys doing at the beginning of the lockdown? What has changed for you in the last 4 years? Look at what's happened in your life, the exponential changes that have happened in your life, and make that, expand that out to the entirety of humanity, and think about the impact of that on all that is, of which we are all a part. Yes, Stan.
I still don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, well, why would you, when hardly any of us, except for Jude Currivan, has a clue? And it's just so marvelous that we get to have Jim Garrison explaining things to us and bringing us such beautiful, beautiful speakers with perspectives that we could never have without that. Diana, come on in.
I just wanted to mention that Maureen put in a note to you, Shannon, saying that that last link you put in just 6 days ago looks more like Richard Rudd. And I know that Pam had an interview with Richard Rudd just recently.
Well, it says grand cycles and galactic quantum leaps.
No, that's the first one.
Conversation with Richard Rudd. I'm sorry, you're quite right. Silly me. Oh, you're right. How, okay. But Richard Rudd is really good too. Yeah. And you know, here we are, you know, struggling through our challenges with tech, and through tech we get to touch each other's lives. And I have been thoroughly touched today. And thank you so much. And I'm going to see you tomorrow. So I'm going to go now. You guys can stay and talk. Stan will be here as long as you guys want to. And thank you, Stan, for all you do, all you are, and for othernetworks.org, which we are working in to create a trust to hold all of the links to Humanity Rising, to all of the after chats and the chats from both of those, and connections to all of our speakers. You know, we've had over 1,700 speakers on Humanity Rising. And this is, we have created this for future generations, all future generations. It feels to me like it is the Akashic records for the new future, the next iteration of life, of which we are birthing through us. The one
We all
flower
start
is,
helping each other to make sense of the world. I need people to tell me what in the world did this. Why did that person say that?
thank you so much, Stan. You guys work together. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I have work to do for me too. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye, Shannon.
Bye.
And then she leaves me here wondering what to do. And now, Diana, your hand is still up. You want to talk to us?
Well, if it's still up, I might as well just say, well, she said that you're going to be here as long as we want to be, Stan. So
Well, often I do. I mean, sometimes I'll just leave you guys to talk to each other, and gets me off the hook. Sharon, please talk to us.
Good morning. I just wanted to comment to you all that in light of David Clements, he was involved for a while with the Stargate people, Prageet and Julianne, and he actually created a device that was monitoring and collating the information that you were referring to, Sue. And I cannot find anything about that now. And this was a couple of years ago that he was working with them and playing around with this magic. I just wanted to say this because somebody on this call might have more information about him or how he is creating what he's creating now. So yeah, I just wanted to throw it in the field. Thank you.
Sharon, what was the name again?
The man's name that you all are referring to earlier, David Clements, was working with the people who started the Stargate experience. Prageet, I don't know his last name. He's British, and he was opened and downloaded or uplit this information about 30 some odd years ago on Maui. And he paired in 2012 with a young woman who began to channel the same information and energy that he brought forth. And they have collaborated with many channels and star families over the years. And they did a collaboration with David Clements, this physicist that Sue was mentioning, that this interview that I think actually, Diana, you sent us an email with David's interview to Pam Gregory. I think you put that in. I don't know who put that in, but somebody sent us this.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I did.
So I just wanted to say to you all that he created a device and I didn't experience the device in person, but they had a video with these folks, Prageet and Jules, a couple of years ago, and that I could sense it through the ethers on the call, on the forum that they held. So you know, maybe somebody will come across this device and bring us more info. I have not found anything to share more about that, but I wanted you to know that there are lots of toys like this. And another guy did something similar, but I don't think his radionic field was nearly as potent. And he's the guy that collaborates with Hope Fitzgerald, which is another thing that you're all touching on about the 0 point field within us. That's Hope's work. Creating the wave, the infinity wave within your body, does amazing miraculous healing frequencies. That God source point. Okay, I'm just tying a few threads together. I'll stop now. Oh yeah, and Hope's person was Patrick Durkin, in case you're wondering about his work. I think he calls his the Tower.
Hope was on here.
Yes.
A number. Was she, and she was together with somebody else. Was that?
Well, actually, Hope came with Gary Malkin at first, but Hope's work has been widely known for a long time, and Hope brought Veda here.
Oh, okay. She's also been on Pam Gregory too.
Oh yeah, they've all been all been interviewed in depth by Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had 2 or 3 more lives to be able to watch all these things and find out what all these people are talking about. Oh my God.
Stanley, you do have 2 or 3 more lives. You just got to remember them.
No, I can't. No, my memory's shot. Yeah, and I know you don't like me talking about that, but I'm sorry. It's which is why I like to collect stuff in video and in the chat. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day on the chat, and he gave me a piece of information that I can't find because I can't find that particular chat. It was just between he and I, Josh, and he had something to tell me about long COVID, and I can't find it. I can't find his comment, so I don't know where it went. I wrote to
One of
him.
these chats?
No, I think this was just he and I, and it got sort of lost in my file of files of all these different chat files that I have. But oh well. Hi, George. You have something to say. You got a big smile on your face. Maybe not. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you. No, Stan, your work is absolutely essential and amazing. You're
Thank
a
you.
hero to keeping all this together and sharing
Yeah,
it the
well, I
way
don't
you do.
I don't watch any of it and I don't read any of it. I just capture it.
But you're
So
part of the field.
yeah,
You're part of the field.
one of
Without
these days
you,
I'll go back and look and see what it was. What is this stuff that I caught? I caught it all. And sort of like I don't know, it reminds me of fish that gets away.
you're the portal.
Almost had a meal and then it gone.
But you're the portal. You allow all of us to
That's what
share
I
this
try to
in.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, when we get it, and you know, we know we can watch the presentations relaxed, knowing that you're going to be sending us everything later that we can access.
I'm glad, very glad to hear that. That's reassuring to me that I'm sitting here doing something that might be useful, even though I'm in the middle of the night and I'm going, why am I still here? Last night it was 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm still there. And what am I doing? And then will I have any brains in the morning to be able to listen to anything? No, because I can't listen and think at the same time. And oh well.
Well,
But it,
one of the
yeah.
things that's helpful is a while back I realized that universe has put me exactly where it wants me at exactly the right time, doing exactly what I need to be doing, and I just don't question it anymore. And
Mhm.
then everything just starts flowing in a new way. So I want to love you and thank you, Stan, for
Well, thank you.
your beautiful contribution to this process. This is
Well, thank
that's
you.
the this being able to keep the records of this in essence eternal orgasm of life that you're doing for us is a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, I try to tell Jim that we're here doing what we're doing, and what I'm doing is for the people that are going to be wanting to know what the heck went on 100 years from now. And we have our friend, um, mm, one of the people that I most love, that I can't remember names because I can't remember names right off the bat, as ran a contest for
Marty?
hmm?
Marty?
No, contest. Uh, His name has a Z in the second character. Um, she asked people to think of what they're doing now that they will be writing back to us from 50 years from now. And Shannon produced a document for her, but it didn't get part of the. Only about the first 10 got mentioned, and I you need to pay more attention to that work because she was plumbing the future, and it's one of the most important people that I know of in terms of trying to gather together what's going on and it's just really Suzanne Taylor and her contest where she collected essays from people that were write to me from 50 years from now and tell me what it is that you are doing now that was how did it affect 50 years from now. And she has a collection of these, and I've read two or three of them, but yeah, it's like all the other things that I haven't been able to have a chance to read. Like all the issues. I mean, I talk about the whole Earth catalog every time I get a chance. I have never read a whole Earth catalog. I have several of them. I even have one that is a retrospective of previous articles from the whole Earth catalog from the 70s. And I don't have time to read all that stuff, but it's important. I know it's important. It's just the words "whole Earth catalog" set in motion my entire life, and so I'm here still creating what might be the whole Earth catalog of the future. And we need to get more people online, and that's what has been happening. And more people online talking to each other in small groups like this is what actually will make the changes we're looking for. Because it's those of us who get a chance to think together that are creating the future.
Stanley,
And
I think that essay contest you're talking about was done through the Sign Network, and I think Shannon was she wrote an essay, and so did Lynn.
yeah,
Are those
yeah,
the ones you're referring to that you have read?
no, I mean I've read Shannon's where I didn't read it. She read it to me, and I said it's too long. That was what I said to her about it. It's too long, but
Is Lynn with us today?
no,
Lynn, I think Lynn actually either placed in that contest or won that contest, that essay contest.
Lynn.
Brody from
Oh,
England.
well, I don't know. I don't have the list in front of me of who won, and I keep trying to tell Suzanne that I need to work with her to better understand the history of her life, which is what every time she everything she does has a back and forward from when she was an actress doing television commercials till her role as a person that interviews the most interesting people on the planet, and did that contest. And I have links to her. What do they call it now? The website where people post essays. Um, and I have
That
websites
would
with
be
links.
great. That would be great to put in her website, the link to her website. I would love to read some of those essays because that's our future
Mhm.
selves talking to us.
That's
Those
right.
essays are filled with insights. That
Yes.
would be
Well,
super. Excuse me.
just search for Suzanne Taylor on other networks and you'll get there, or I'll go look for it now. But yeah, and I would like to be working more closely with Suzanne. And every time I think of, how do I do that? How do I introduce? And I write to her and I say, we need to work together more closely. And both of us are too busy to do anything about it. But I want to sit down with her and try to make sense out of her various websites and things that she puts out there. And when do I have time for that? I'm not sure. I've been too busy with doing what I'm doing here today, and it's not 3 o'clock yet, so I still have some time to think about what's supposed to happen at 3 o'clock with uh, Kurt Johnson and his crew from the evolutionary leaders. They're working on the future of global conferences and magnificent collections of people getting together over the next 6 months that John Raymer has been organizing and I can't keep up with all this stuff and be able to make sense out of it. But then, is there really any sense in the life in the world? Who knows? But that's why I depend on Diana to make sense of things for me. Yeah, you really do help. You ask the right questions at the right time. Okay, I mean, you'll come back and ask somebody, when were you born? And it turns out to be an important question that why was that important? I wouldn't have known, but you asked those questions. And I do want to spend more time with George, because you're you're in the right place at the right time. And I've lost track with uh, the author of uh, networking, a first report and directory. And I don't want to lose track with her. And she used to be, she didn't write the Network Nation. She wrote the, I hate when these names, Lipnack. Lipnack and Stamps. They wrote a book called Virtual Teams, way before the current teaming person wrote her stuff, like 20 years ago. Jessica Lipnack, yes, and somebody that I wish I could be in touch with, but I haven't had the wherewithal to write to her. I know her. I believe I know where to find her. But Jessica Lipnack wrote Networks, a first report and directory, back in 1970 or thereabouts.
I know her.
Well, you should, because she was also on the Fuller
Buckminster
board.
Fuller Institute. Yeah.
Yes, she was there until recently, actually. And I want to catch up with what she's been writing about Buckminster Fuller's aunt, or great aunt. I think it's a great aunt, or a double great aunt, or something, who Jessica has fallen in love with, and is writing a book about this woman who was Buckminster Fuller's ancestor.
Margaret Fuller?
Maybe. That sounds possible. Yes.
I think Jessica moved to San Francisco, so I'll follow up with her.
She may very well have done that. I mean, I knew her when her husband was alive and living in Boston or thereabouts. And it was Jessica and Jeff that got me started in on international networks by giving me a account on the electronic information exchange system, the EYES conferencing system, which was one of the first things that I got to meet people. And through that, I ended up being vice president of the Electronic Networking Association back in the 70s and the 80s and so on. Probably the 80s, because that was when I was writing my newsletter. I have a newsletter that is available still on the Internet Archive, Other Networks newsletter. If anybody wants to look at the beginnings of social networks that I was trying to track, from paper-based conferencing to the origins of the computer bulletin board, and articles about people like Murray Taroff, who wrote the Network Nation book, which is right there in front of me. And yeah. So I don't know what to do next. What to do next is probably get some more sleep. Hi, Tricia.
Hi. If you've been up since 4, you better get on over there to sleep.
No, I haven't been up since 4. I went to sleep at 4.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. No, that's what I mean.
Yes.
Up till 4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything to add in here. I'm just enjoying humanity rising together. And 4 years later, my goodness, look at how our consciousness is rising, you know?
Well, yeah,
We
we're
are.
aware
I
of
mean,
more stuff. And there we have tricked things with glasses on.
4 years ago, we didn't have UAP convos, you know, and they're about to come on out. So, hey, you don't mind me brushing my hair, do you?
No, we don't mind.
Our family. Okay, anyway, I just wanted to thank you, George, for that. I'll just send you a quick email, and I couldn't find it. I was looking all over humanity, all over these after chat emails, and I couldn't find your email anywhere. I even went into your thing there, Stan, and I couldn't find him there either. So, okay, I'm just popping in here for a minute is all.
Oh, and you get it from Diana. That's great. That's what we are. We're a team.
Well, George, Diana sent it. Good job, Diana. Okay.
Yes, that's good.
Good
That's the
job.
way it works. I mean, I can't write down everything, and neither can any of us. But and I'm really got to go back and listen to what Marty was talking about today, because I didn't hear any words, but I heard the conversation was interesting. But that's as far as I can go. I have to go back and listen to it, but maybe I'll have time for that. Maybe not. In the meantime, Michael wants me to turn off the recording, and he's probably right.
Hi, Stan.
Yes.
I I was basically talking about.
No, why? I just turned off. I shouldn't turn off anything when Michael asks me to, because it always gets more interesting.
So
I'm going to start the companion again.
Okay. The essence of my question was about Jude's response to the idea of ladies and gentlemen. And my colleague here in Ottawa, Canada, has written a book called Ladies and Gentlemen. His name is John J. Heaney, Heney. And in there, he introduces the concept of we all have love gestures, spiritual team members, thousands and thousands of them, if you wish, upstairs around the globe looking in. And when we start doing things like othernetworks.org, they're fascinated and they're interested and they want to pay attention and see where are we going to go with this, because this maybe is the first time we're doing something that will affect everybody in the world who's experiencing the same challenge, whether it's making sense of this or remembering that or consolidating whatever it is. And the idea is that what you do is you have all the people in the room, they have each one of them thousands and thousands of love gestures, spiritual team members, and they are participating. This is a sit down. So let's say we have 5 people in the room and we get around the table and we say, let's talk about how we're going to co-create intentional communities. What are we going to do? And then we invite all of these love gestures and team members to participate. And what they're doing is that you have like a kind of like a ambassadorial kind of to and fro, all these people getting acquainted with each other, or entities, if you wish. And the whole purpose of this is what June echoed, is that it's all about how can we do this for everybody and do it with a little bit more fun. So Jude's response to my question was, oh, she loved the whole aspect of doing things with this, I would say, curiosity, creativity, and fun. And then we're then demonstrating that for other people, how they can help themselves and with their team members. And it just changes the whole conversation, the dialectic, if that's what it is, the conversation to a higher level, and making things smoother and easier. And so one of the things that John playfully says is that, you know, sometimes people say, what would Jesus do? And the response is, don't be so rude, ask him yourself. Right? So we're all one. Like the question that Sylvia had was, what's her idea about consciousness and God? And Jude's answer was, it's everything. We're all together in this. So that was the main point of what I was raising with Jude.
And you're talking about people's support team, the people that have been passed and they've passed through their lives in the past, and still being possibly influencing their relationships with each other.
It goes beyond that. So it goes to these 5,000 exoplanets, and there are all these people who are aware, these entities that are aware of things, and then they're saying, oh, over there on planet Earth in that little corner over there, they're doing something different for the first time, and we're doing this in this way, and they're curious and fascinated and want to be there. It's like that concept of David Clements and free will. Each of us has this infinite point, and connected to the source infinite point. And so people are saying, oh, well, it's like a piece of art. We're going to go to the gallery and see what is this artist doing now, And one of the recent things that John Heaney was sharing with us is that it doesn't have to be about, oh, I'm having, communication issues, or I'm dealing with this other person. It could be just about the whole topic, about maintaining an archive. It could be about reaching out to people. And then we're focusing the energy around that, and then looking for, like popcorn, who else is going to come forward and make a contribution. And after we do that, in this process, we'll also invite a mystery guest. And one of the people on the call today with us, Mark, we did this as a group, and he brought forth a mystery guest, and his mystery guest was Nikola Tesla, who brought with him all the blueprints and everything else that he can do, in the ether. And so this is the type of creativity to make it playful and fun. And guess who asked the question in the chat earlier? Are we having fun yet? I'm looking at you, Stan.
Well, I mean, it's half, not 99% of what is being said here. It goes right over my head because I don't have context for it. And so your friend who wrote "Ladies and Gentlemen," I don't understand that either. But it sounds like maybe I want to go back and listen to you again. But now you've just said it all again, and I still don't understand it.
Well, let me give you an example.
Okay, good.
What happened
Examples
to him?
are useful.
In 1970s, he was an up and budding lobbyist in Parliament Hill, Canada, in telecommunications, working with Bell Northern and all these different types of people. This was burgeoning. This is the time when Nortel was going crazy, and all these computer companies, Gandalf and Microsoft, whatever it is, so Mitel. And what happened is that one day in the morning, he took a shower and he totally collapsed. He ended up with dystonia, muscular dystrophy, and a whole host of things. I can't even remember what they are. And he was incapacitated and in pain, great pain. And so what happened is that he did what people would do. He checked Western medicine. He checked Eastern medicine. Nothing worked for him. And then he started talking to the energy that was spirally wound, like he was in a cocoon, right? And as he talked to it, the layers and layers started peeling off. These strands, like spider webs, were shedding off, and they were going up. And he ended up having a Looney Tunes gallery of all these entities. So have you ever seen Looney Tunes? There's things on Saturday morning cartoons. So there'd be all these kind of gallery of people watching him, what he's doing and participating. And when I was more often in Ottawa, like 20 years ago, he would have evenings where we'd go to his home, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'd have a gathering of people, and he would say, I'm learning just as much as you are. And okay, and now let's bring up all our love gestures and the spirit type team members, and let's see what happens. And they'd poke each other in the arm to have some more fun, and there'd be messages going back and forth, and someone would say something which would be a launch point for another tangent, and it would just go on like that. And everybody was enlightened. And that was what we did. And so he's written 3 books, and one of them is Thunder Within, where he had his healing experience, and he wrote it himself, so it's not that easy to understand. Then he wrote 2 more books, and he's actually like a certified archivist. He comes from an old coal merchant family, Irish family from Ottawa.
Okay. Would somebody put his name? What is his? I don't know who his is.
Yeah, in the chat.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about somebody and you keep referring to him and his, and I don't.
Sure.
And I can't hear it all.
So it's John.
Okay.
And he even had an audience with the Pope.
Okay.
And later on, the Pope said, that guy's getting married? He did get married. They've been together. They're still together. So I'll just put...
Can
Yes.
you tell us a little more about love gestures?
Well, I was introduced to them back in 1994 when I started studying the result system. And actually, I got ordained in the Order of Melchizedek through the New York State Church called Sanctuary of the Beloved, Inc. And he explained that there are love gestures all around the earth, and I thought of it as a globe of the earth, and they're observing, they're watching us. And to me, it's that aspect of free will. We can't expect assistance from others, other entities and spirits, unless we invite them in and we ask them. And that was the point that was made about Dave Clements and Pamela Gregory, and that infinite point that's in our soul and in the soul of the source. And
nothing came in. You typed a bit, but nothing came into the chat.
Okay, I haven't typed it yet. It was Thunder Within,
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen. The pressure's on. Stan is giving me pressure. And
I'm sorry.
And I forget the other book, but it's about the Ottawa family history. So one could probably find it that way. Now did you get it? Oh, I sent it to Janice Hall, only Janice Hall. So how can I change this?
You can't.
To everyone.
You can copy and paste it, maybe.
Okay. So I'm doing it now. Did you get it, Stan?
I got something. John Tenney, 10th Thunder Within, ladies and gentlemen, Ottawa family history.
Yes,
Okay,
there you go.
Don't know what any of this stuff means, but
Well,
it starts with John
those
Henley.
are titles of books. Okay, I'll write that down.
That was written by John Henley?
Heney, Heney.
Okay.
And it's Thunder Within.
Okay, I can see that part.
Book.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies
and
and
Ottawa
gentlemen.
family history.
Yeah, I don't know the title of the other one.
Okay.
I haven't read that one. The Ladies and Gentlemen is the one where he describes this process. And Thunder Within, he has the story which he told us. We've had 2 conversations with them recently, one 2 hours and one like 45 minutes. And he reminded us of what was in that book, Thunder Within. So he was curious about this doctor. And this doctor, when he was a child, he saw his father who had this ability to speak to the spirit world. And this doctor, the father, he went to work with this soldier. And this soldier, I believe this was in England. Yes, in England. He was a veteran of the war, and he couldn't talk, and he was in a wheelchair. Or he wouldn't talk, and he was in a wheelchair. And this fellow, all his buddies in his platoon or regiment or whatever were blown to bits. And when the doctor came to visit him, because no one had any results with him, somehow he knew about this, and the doctor started talking to his buddies that were blown to bits. And as soon as he started doing that, the soldier started talking. And shortly after that, he got out of the wheelchair. This was like years or decades of being in a wheelchair. So this concept of reaching beyond us, like they say, for example, that all the answers are within. We heard of that today too. And then what if we don't get the answer, even though they're there, we don't cognitively appreciate them. We go outside and we say, we're going to speak to Jesus or God or Allah or somebody else. And maybe what would you call that? A coach, a life coach or something. Maybe they can help me go through the door. Like Helen Keller said that people are too focused on closing the doors behind them instead of going through the doors opening in front of them.
Mm.
And so it's this whole idea of we get almost in a micromanagement kind of a way, over-focused on some details. And well, there's the opposite of that too. Everything's like a flip-flop, a reflexive thing. So if you take the famous architect from the Netherlands, Ludwig Wies van der Mies, he said, God's in the details, as opposed to somebody else. And because he was an architect, famous architect for minimalism. And he says that when you do minimalism, the accuracy is much more important. You need to be precise, because if there's something off, you're going to notice it right away. Anyway, so the idea of talking about these love gestures is the idea of going outside of yourself, going to the ethers. And I like the idea of saying Jesus is a galactic friend. There's the Galactic Federation, there's Galactic Friends. So, you know, it's all there for us, waiting for us to ask for it.
Yeah. Well, how do we learn to do that?
Well,
and then when we got all this stuff, I mean, there's billions of ancestors with billions of ancestors of their own, and yeah.
Well, I've had different teachers say that all your past lives, they carry over to the next past life, so that you don't have to worry about all the other past lives. You just focus on the first past life you've just had. It makes it simpler. And that some of my teachers say that your DNA, 50% of it is the last 14 generations. And then we've already discussed also that on other shows here, that if you change the present, you're changing the future and you're changing the past. So you can atone for the sins of the fathers. That's an interesting idea, I find. And we can ask for assistance from beyond. And so we're not limited to just this whole idea of self-responsibility. It can be a double-edged sword. You know, you want to be responsible to stand on your own 2 feet, but then there's assistance out there as soon as you ask. It's in the Bible too. Knock on the door and it shall open.
Okay.
So
That
the
sounds
idea
good.
is that if you don't ask, you don't get. So, and you've been doing a good job, you know, Stan. You've been asking for help. You want
Yeah,
help
well,
with the archives and whatever else.
yes, and the glimmer of hope came today from Shannon saying that her and her people that she's talking to are considering some kind of fund to perpetuate other networks and Humanity Rising.
Yeah, I have a
trust
request,
fund.
Stan. I just noticed because I looked on .org, and at some of the past chats we had where I was involved in, there was a note that Lynn and Stan will follow up with Marty about possible topics. And Shannon was open to the idea of me doing a presentation at some point. So I don't have, well, Stan, you're the Stan, right? And who's the Lynn?
Lynn is probably Lynn in England. What's her name? Broadley?
Oh, okay. I've worked with her.
Okay. Probably. I mean, she's one of the more interesting folks that shares information. And
Diana knows her last name. What is it, Diana?
Brogley.
Berkeley?
No.
How do you spell that?
Yeah.
Brody, Lynn Brody,
Brody. Thank you.
Lynn Brody.
I hear better
There you
now.
go.
Brody.
Yes.
Got it. I
Did
remember.
you find the link, Stanley, to the essays? Did you find the link?
I haven't looked for that. I don't. I'm here. I'm not there. I can't be everywhere.
Sharon, did you get my message that I left about you were asking in the chat box?
Yes, I did. Thank you. That
Okay.
helped
I don't know if you
clarify.
can see your cell phone or not. Okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Marty, are you able to move away from the group of people that are in the background? There's a lot of background noise.
I'll ask them to tone it down just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, we have a feast going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Should we be there?
I really recommend the book, ladies and gentlemen.
Marty, maybe we can come over if there's a feast going on, huh?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, well,
What time?
you may do
What
it
time?
vicariously.
What's your state? What state are you in?
We're in Ontario, Canada. We're
Oh,
in
got it.
Haven, southwest of Ottawa. And actually, I can send you blessings like this, and you can receive the energy vibration of the good food. It's nachos today. And I have a special technique. I have a special technique for anyone who's sensitive to cheese or anything that's in a nacho. What you do is you rub your hands and you put them on either side of the plate. And what you do is you do 5 anterior neck flexions with your eyes open and 5 with your eyes closed. The breathing is essential though. What you do is you bring your chin down to your chest, you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you bring your chin level and purse your lips and blow out. It's not as easy as some people might think.
And that cuts the allergic reaction to dairy?
No, just for that portion of food, whatever's there that isn't bioavailable to you. So every time you get another set of nachos, you got to do the same thing.
Okay.
Is it in breath? Is it in breath through the nose or through the mouth?
That's a very good question for clarifying, Michael.
Sure.
So it's
Yep.
breathe in, chin down through the nose, and then chin level, blow out through the pursed lips of the mouth without your nose. So if you need to, pinch your nose. No, I've never seen anyone have to pinch their nose. I'm being.
Have you read the book Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton?
Oh, yes, a long time ago.
Yeah, great. It sounded like you had, so this one.
Yeah, well, it's all the basis of the bioenergetics and bioepigenetics that I practice.
Yeah. Oh, great. No, good field to be in. Good to know.
One of my teachers, Dr. Sheldon Deal from Tucson, Arizona,
Yes.
Of all the things, good thoughts are the most important. Doesn't matter what good food and good air you have and good shelter. It's your it's your thoughts, your vibrations, your energies.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. This is the and the don't forget the imagination. The imagination is also key to the potential of thought.
Exactly,
You know,
as
itself.
Bruce says. And he agrees with the idea, the concept that you can most easily program yourself, reprogram yourself just before you go to bed and just when you wake up. You're in the theta frequency of 4 to 8 hertz. And that's when you don't know the difference between reality and imagination. You're in a childlike state, like age 7.
I wonder if that
you want to
applies
rejuvenate, just go to sleep and wake up.
I wonder if that applies to not knowing what day it is. You know, when you go, what day is it again?
Well, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you
I
that.
know, I just offhand you.
But it is interesting that often in the hospital, they'll ask you, what day is it today? You know, what is your name? And what's the other question? What time is it? Or where are we?
What year is it?
What year is it?
Birth. Maybe they'll ask your birth.
Yeah. And so that is that whole concept of awareness. And so that's what I work with a lot is awareness. And what I do a lot is I assist people in exploring their self-healing journey and to transmute triggered emotions and transform them into beneficial feelings. So the new languages I'm using is to avoid the polarity of negative and positive and that type of thing. So the lower frequencies to higher frequencies is helpful. Of course, someone could quibble with that, you know, and then I'm saying I'm being prejudiced against left and right.
Is there space for the devil's advocate in there of this process?
Well,
being the devil's advocate can be quite
well, then you're agreeing with Jude,
positive.
because June was saying this was a new thing for me. What Jude was saying is that she appreciates both ands, the ands and the buts.
Yep.
And I was a little stuck there. And so I can appreciate sometimes it's more poetic in a sentence to have the but. What we want to avoid is we're saying, oh, you're a great guy and everything else, but I was only joking. That means you negate that you're a great guy and you were joking because you were not being helpful there. So yeah, so it's like what would be appropriate? Oh, it was really bad weather yesterday, but today's a good day. See, that would be for me a good use of the word but. Because you're getting rid of the frequency and vibration of the bad weather from yesterday. Yeah. So what I'm
how does weather become bad? You know, that's another. That's a,
oh
you know,
well,
it's
you're
weather
right.
is.
You're right.
You know, it's
there's a
yeah,
well-known former lawyer a mediator, and he says there's only different types of weather. And in
Exactly.
Canada, we're proud of knowing that we can just change our dress. We can put on more layers if it's cold outside.
Marty, in terms of what was it that Jude said? What did you say? Sorry, what were you just discussing with the butt?
Oh, it's the concept of what Jude was saying, that she appreciates both ands.
Both and,
One is a
okay.
positive and one is a negative but.
And I would interpret that as seeing the positive and the negative.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, what you were saying before about you're a good-looking person, but I'm only joking.
Right. Yeah.
It's not quite the same thing.
Yes. So
well, you can't ignore that the pendulum swings both ways. This is an old school wisdom that I received from my elders at a young age. You know, you can't
stand in front of the
just
pendulum
have
and
one
it'll knock you
attention.
over.
You can't just have attention for one thing without looking at the opposite. You know, the positive and negative, the full swing, plus the breath at the center point of that transformation of, okay, you know, what is positive and negative, but to see where that joins in the middle,
yes,
where the peace
yeah,
sits.
it's the
in the middle.
moderation for me that's key. So the moderation is that you have a seesaw and you have the extreme limits, and there's a lot of turbulence going up and down either way. What I'd rather be closer to the pivot point in the center and just have small imbalances to let us know that we're being pulled to one side and it's time for us to go back. So I'd rather have gentle disturbances than huge, you know.
And that's a lesson of the middle breath too, you know. I learned this space when being a swimmer diver in the water, when I used to compete with myself on how long I could hold the breath, and that relationship of the breath and my body at the cellular level, right? Because, you know, releasing. I don't know, if anybody's really knowledgeable about deep diving in the biological, physical aspects of the abilities of our body, our cells to hold space is a whole nother subject, but we'll get into that. You know, it is that space of how to stay still in the moment and not be pulled too far in either direction. That's where
I have an example of that. There's this
So
actor and singer, Gene Russo, and he played in The Godfather. And he said he only had one acting lesson, that was Marlon Brando. You know, had one singing lesson from Frank Sinatra. And we went to go for the singing lesson for Frank Sinatra. The assistant told him, "You have to bring your swimming shorts." He said, "What? I'm here for a lesson, not swimming. Just bring your swimming shorts." So he arrived there. She says at the door, "Go to the swimming pool. He's waiting for you." And they get in the pool, right? And Frank says, "How do you think I can hold a note so long?" "It's because I go underwater and hold my breath." And so that's what they did. That was the only lesson he got, and that's how you can hold a note for so long. You, like you're saying, Michael, you create space.
Yep. And very important. And that goes back to what was mentioned early in the conversations about being programmed in the short breath. You know, a lot of people, people, because they rush in their mind to the future so much that their breath becomes short, and that's another aspect of that attention to the self, attention to the self.
And a good exercise of that, I just shared it with the opera singer in Montreal. What you do to transmute fear into calmness and anger into patience and kindness, you rub your hands and you put your fingers on these points here, And I got another refinement I figured out. So you want them above your eyes, the index and middle and ring finger in line with the center of your eyes, and you're pulling the skin gently without moving the finger pads, and you put the little finger pads on the inside of your eyebrows, and you do diaphragmatic breathing. Stan, you'd really benefit from this if you want to join us.
I don't know what I'm benefiting from. I don't know what I'm. Excuse me, but you guys are off in space someplace, and
You got finger pads. What this does is that it works on the neurovascular reflexes, and it brings energy back to the prefrontal lobes, which help manage the limbic system and the extreme knee-jerk reactions. And it only takes 90 seconds. I ask people to do it for 2 minutes, and some people can feel subcutaneous throbbing or pulsing. And what happens is that you know that you're done if you do. Not everybody feels it, yet if you do feel it, you can you can sense that at one point within 90 seconds to 120 seconds, the pulses will be in tandem. They'll pulse at the same rhythm in both hands, the finger pads. And you don't need to have any mantra. You don't need any image. Yet what happens is that after about 90 seconds, it feels to me when I've done it, it's like a waterfall cascading down, or the tsunami wave crashing, and just, oh, it's all going away now, all that stress. And so this is taught in many different disciplines, from Donna Eden to John Thee's Touch for Health to Paul Dennison's, Gail and Paul Dennison's Brain Gym. And it's very soothing and relaxing. And I've had the experience where it feels like the clouds are opening up, and all of a sudden new ideas start percolating and popping up. Well, it looks like it had some effect on you, Stan, because I see your ocularis orbis. There's more light in your face. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, that's really interesting. It takes me back to when I was a child. My grandmother, she had this she was taking her thumbs, like her hands on my face, forehead, and she'd take her thumbs at the middle of the forehead and the nose base and come up and then across the top of the eyebrow to the temple, just stroking it like that.
Right.
And that calming effect, she said, what are you doing? And she says, I'm getting rid of the oh gosh, the frown in your gown.
Great.
Called
I
that.
have another example.
Like this is old school wisdom, that is that, you know, these kind of things of, you know, to wash away, you know, or to, you know, to get
Michael,
rid of that tension in there. Yeah.
Michael, I want to share with you a First Nations example of this. I was in, I guess, Virginia or North Carolina, and I met this young man, and he was making walking sticks and peace pipes and this type of thing. I got a pipe from him and a cane.
Nice.
And what happened is that he said, I have a way to use a feather and to clear your central meridian. Your central meridian goes from your perineum up your front to the chin here, okay? And what he did was he used a feather. I'll use the pen here if you can see it. I don't know, I'm on a different camera here. There we go. Here's the camera. So you take the feather and you stroke below, from the nose to outside below, and then you do the other side below, and then you tap on the forehead, and that clears the central meridian for them.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. And you're at the same time you're working on your sinuses. Just thought you'd like that, Michael.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's you know, it's these simple, old school transference of wisdom, because the knowledge and wisdom coin is not separated. It becomes one. Well, I'll give you an example. One of my the gentleman I met when I was in my young man's teen and young adult, 19 years old, and so the couple things Ron taught me. He was an old cowboy. Grew up as a cowboy. His daddy was a cowboy in the Blackfoot Hills south of Calgary, right? And I came out there. I was always been loved the mountains from afar. Growing up in the T.O. area, Toronto, and so when I went out west and I met this gentleman, he was my age, 65, when I was 19, and a few, things of wisdom that he had given, and that was one of the things that, you may listen to what I say. I says, well, that's a very wise thing, and he stopped me short and he says, you may think it's just wise, but to me it's just knowledge. And what is happening is that you are listening to my knowledge as wisdom, so you are seeing it in the first moments of its creation.
Oh, good.
And once you receive it, it becomes knowledge again, but it will not become wisdom again and you will not experience that until you transfer and give it to someone else, i.e., to another person. And it is in that connection to the other, the human, or could be
Yeah.
like to the plant, or to the water, or to whatever, the rock, whatever it is that connection of transference. The
Yes.
the
Applied knowledge is wisdom.
open, yeah, will open the mind and the heart as one. And yeah, so I just want to share another two things that the gentleman gave me was um he said, choose you have a long way to go to get to where I am. And he wasn't talking about the 40 years of difference.
Yeah.
Said he said and he said, choose your ruts carefully, you will lead them the rest of your life.
Great. I have a question for Diana.
Mm.
May I ask a question, Diana? I saw you do the forehead gesture here. Would you share with your experience with us?
Well, my experience was is that I became extremely warm.
Warm, wonderful.
And I don't know, and I will be trying it again. I'll see what happens, and I'm sure the reaction also always depends on what your state of mind.
And it's very good to do before a driver's license exam. And you might want to take a vitamin B3, 75, consider it 75 milligrams of vitamin B3, flushing niacin. It staves off dementia, senility. It's good for people who have Alzheimer's or senility or those types of things, dementia. Yeah, because it gives more superficial blood circulation to the brain. It's good for exams.
Do you see that in me?
No, I'm just saying I gifted that to a opera singer in New York. She's one of my dance teachers, Lambada, Brazilian Zouk to Lambada. And she has an exam today, so I thought I'd share that with her.
Yeah.
Because I know I just showed it her quickly months ago, and during the class, while she's teaching the class, she was communicating directly to me because she put her hands on her forehead, looking at me, knowing that I know what she was doing and that she remembered that I had showed it to her. So I was very happy about that.
The other one I find very interesting, and I suppose, I was doing it with my fingers then.
Well, there's another one. You can tap here along the sinuses and then go up a bit like the anti-frown thing, or frown in the gown that Michael was talking about. That's for sinuses, and often there's a correlation of the sinuses being blocked to C5, your neck, C5, so you can get that checked out and adjusted. And that helps get rid of, nasal drip and a cold.
Actually, Marty, I have a question for you talking about that. My sister, who is, I think she's 78.
Yeah.
And she's in New Hampshire. She's noticed that she's got some hearing problems. Like when she's out walking in the woods, somebody says, "Oh, listen to those birds," and she's realized she can't hear those birds. Now, I mean, she's going into she's already had her ears looked at. They seem fine. She's going to go in and do different tests or whatever else.
Right.
But do you have any suggestions as to what one? I know that, but Sarah Sue is not on here. She
Yeah.
had something the other day in terms
of. This is such a good synchronicity because I just left text messages in the chat to Janice about her mother's hearing.
Oh.
That's how I learned about it, because she was asking me about shoes, and I said, that's over my head. I thought we were in the Middle East and she didn't like what I was saying and she was throwing a shoe at me, but no. She was talking to her mother who had the wrong shoes. So in the body alignment that we have for the God's Priority Indicator Result System, I would check the ear with muscle response testing, and if it were out, I would grasp the bottom of the earlobe and I turn it twice in one way and then the other way and pull straight down. That might unblock it. That's only one.
What do you mean by turning it twice? What do you mean by that?
Well, I rotate it twice, like rotating a limb.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not saying that's indicated. I'm just saying that's one of the techniques we have. But something was a breakthrough technology I learned in April after the conference in Branson, where I presented. Another presenter brought with him his technology, breakthrough technology, and he taught it after the conference. And I took the 2-day course, and I now can teach it. And I would teach it from a technical perspective because I don't have his background in physiology and neurology and whatnot for all the names of the systems that are in operation, like ALS and the nerve systems, because I've learned these things more in a technical way, how to apply them. And so what I shared with Janice is that I had at the conference I was thanks to Jeelan Park, she found me a host where I could stay for 1 week in Iowa City, and the host is like a highly accomplished, like Jeelan Park calls her, a 10th dimensional being, and she has clients like over the phone doing, I guess, mediumship or channeling, whatever it's called. And so when I first met her, I said, well, I'm just at the conference, I've done this stuff, and you're interested. He said, oh, I have nothing. That's okay. So 4 or 5 days later, she says, oh, by the way, I have some hearing issues, and so does my mother. And I said, well, it's 10:50 at night. It only takes about 15 minutes. It worked very well on the adrenal organs that we did during the 2-day course, because a couple of us stood up taller and straighter without doing anything else different. So we did like 4 or 5 things all at the same time related to that organ, and our adrenals kicked in. So in Iowa City, what I did was, okay, let's find the organ associated with this issue of hearing, and because it could be the middle ear, the inner ear, the outer ear, and let's go find the muscles that we work on. And then the muscles are connected to chakras, and the muscles are connected to neurovasculars, and they're connected to neurolymphatics. So we did all those things, plus talking about the issues of the dimensions of life that are concerned with each chakra that's involved. Bladder is interesting because bladder meridian involves all 7 chakras. There's like the 7 seals in the Revelation, some say. In any case, we did that, and her mother was in another place, so we agreed that the host would be also the surrogate for her mother at the same time. Both of them improved their hearing The intensity of the blockage of hearing went from 7 out of 10 to 4 out of 10. I followed up a month later, and the most beautiful anecdotal proof is this. We're talking on the phone, and she says, you know, this is after I left. She says, you know, I speak to my mother almost every day. And yesterday I spoke to her, and it was the first time ever my mother did not ask me to repeat myself. That has weight, right? That has substance. That's a lot less stress, right?
Oh,
That's
no.
awesome. So I'm doing my mobile services business and spiritual ministry. And so I'm open to traveling almost anywhere within reason and to provide training programs and client sessions. And I just did recently something in Carp, Ontario on a Thursday afternoon. I started like at 12:45 to give an intro, and I offered people complimentary organic alkalizing red reishi mushroom instant coffee. So I want them to be awake, right? And then each person there could have a 25 to 30-minute session, and everybody was invited to stay the whole afternoon to observe and benefit and learn and whatever. And you know, like if I did that as a workshop, it would be $300. So because people only needed to stay for 25 to 30 minutes, I said, okay, $100. And so I even offered some scholarships, partial scholarships, that type of thing. Anyway, we did that, and 2, 3 people had huge shifts in their body. And one of them came to see me the next day, and there they didn't have the means, so I did some stuff that I do for free, my pro bono stuff. And she was so charged; her eyes were just burning with vitality, and she was so happy that her friend that she took to the train station um, uh, took a picture of her face. She asked for a picture to be taken because her passenger who was taking the train remarked that it was such a stark difference. And the reason why she came to me was that she was depleted. She's starting a new healing center in the Northern Ontario, and who needs energy to do her job, to do her mission and accomplish her vision. So I was happy to be part of that. And we may be getting together to visit another intentional community in a place called Plevna. This is, small towns and hamlets in Northern Ontario, north of Kingston, west of Ottawa. Yeah. And so that was very heartening. And I have all these different toolkits, and if the toolkit isn't appropriate for the person, it's irrelevant. So let's find something that does work. So I've studied so much. I have a very large menu to reach a broader, wider audience.
I have a question then, and I've checked back on the 15th of January, there was a session, Integrate Auricular. So he was talking about the ears, and he is in Canada. You weren't there at that time for that Humanity Rising session, were you?
I don't know, but I did share it. I can share it now if you like.
Well, I can send you the link. I can put the link in the chat because I mean it was fascinating what he had to say about the ears.
Well, it comes to, I've learned it from Touch for Health, and you would say in the States, kinesiology. In Ontario, we call it bioenergetic wellness. And we do it also in Brain Gym International. In the States, you can also call it educational kinesiology. And I met one of my heroes of 29 years. She's in her 80s, and she has a particular way of doing it. And she checked with scientists in Germany and everything, like Fritz Albert Popp. He's the guy who identified the 635 nanometer carrier wave for human healing. So you can lay different frequencies on top of that.
What's his name?
Fritz Albert Popp. P-O-P-P.
He's still alive or he died?
No, he died a few years ago, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he's right.
So she checked with him, and so I just shared that you can take a 635 nanometer laser, and a laser in 5 seconds can do as much as 20 minutes of an acupuncture needle. What would you rather do?
Yeah.
And I've been, the peace be upon him, the late Norm Shealy, he certified me in 2014 in transcutaneous acupuncture, where we don't use needles, we use bliss oils and tapping to do it. Yet I like to use the laser as well. And the laser I found is interdimensional. And so also when you do a tapping, you could actually add a circle, move your fingers in a circle plus a quarter turn. That makes it a spiral. That makes it interdimensional. And that doesn't answer your question. Your question was about auricular massage. So here we go. Are you ready? The key is, you may want to write this down. The key is to do it 4 positions 4 times. All right. And I'm going to lead you through it. And this would be good to do at the beginning of every session of Humanity Rising, whether it's after chat or the presenter, because this will help you open up your brain, the tympanic membrane in your head, and to help your vestibular system for balance and hearing. And it helps you receive, process, assimilate, and express information. So here we go. This is probably near the end, but imagine it's at the beginning. And you take your hands, you rub your hands, and you take your, where is it, index finger and thumb, you put it in your, I'm forgetting the terms now, but in the deep, the shallow space at the sides, and you breathe in and pull back. And then you go to the top and breathe in and pull up. And then you breathe in, small breaths in to the bottom. And then you do stage 4, breathe in and pull down. And now we do it 3 more times. Are you ready, Diana?
Time.
Yes, you're doing this for Stan too. So breathe in and breathe in and breathe in and breathe in. 3rd time, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. 1 more time, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. And if it's not too much information, I can show you how to do this to reset your body clock. Like if you do shift work, red shift, and have to go back and forth like paramedics, first responders, or whatever it is you got. So you would do this 4 times, and in between each time you tap on your left side 4 inches down from your armpit. That's spleen 21, and spleen 21 happens to be the master point for all your chakras, your energies. And your chakras relate to your 7 causal, call it bodies, etheric bodies, the circles that are around the body in maps of aura fields, the 7 aura fields. So so what you do is you do the ears once, and then you do the tapping, and you do the ears twice, you do the tapping, you do the ears 3 times, you do the tapping, you do the ears 4 times tapping. That will reset your body clock. The easiest way to use this is that when you get off the airplane, you do that when you're at your destination.
Welcome to We the World.
And have a glass of water.
MLK Manifesting the Dream
Always
event.
the one.
Each year, we take time to remember Martin Luther King Jr. and his.
Okay, this is Tricia is letting us in the meeting that she's starting to attend. Now, Marty, I have one thing that I really would appreciate actually getting fixed.
Oh, what is it?
It has to do with my lumbar spine and the pain that starts to build up when I stand for more than 5 minutes. And this all stops me from being able to walk correctly because I can't walk correctly at all, and which stops me from being able to do certain kinds of exercises, and all this sort of kind of locks in my problem that my wife is mad at me because I can't do certain things around the house.
Do you have 2 minutes?
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here. We're still recording this.
Well, let's do this. I'd like everybody to do this on whatever body part that ails them. And depending on your range of motion, Stan, you can put one hand on the front of your pelvis and one hand on the back of the pelvis, wherever the region is that gives you the most discomfort. Have you found it?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't have any discomfort now. That's the problem.
It doesn't matter because it's going to act up later. So you're going to be able to tell, and I'm going to give you some homework. I'm sorry to say that.
Well, I don't like homework, but
yeah, I'm going to make it easy for you because what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to keep a diary for 21 days. And if you can't do that, I'm going to ask you to make yourself a date in 21 days and compare how you feel. So you have a calendar, I'm sure, right? Your wife has a calendar.
I have a calendar.
You go 21 days in the future and say, reassess my spine, how I am like walking upstairs.
Yeah, crawling upstairs.
That too. I would say so now Do you want me to tell you, or just we do it right away?
I don't know. See that?
So you want to understand things. I like that about you. So what I'm going to do is say we're going to do anterior neck flexions. What's an anterior neck flexion? I better get in front of the camera here. Okay, anterior neck flexion is I bring my chin down to my chest. Be very careful if you have a stiff neck. Don't do it so fast. I want you to pamper yourself and be gentle. So chin goes down, chin goes level straight again. And what you do is on the way down, you're breathing in through your nose. And when you come up, you purse your lips and blow out like you're blowing out a straw. Okay. And so now what we do is we're going to do it 5 times, eyes open, 5 times, eyes closed. And so I'm going to keep my eyes open all the time because I'm going to check on you. So I want your hand on the front of your pelvis and the back of your pelvis. And for Diana, if it's your sinuses or your shoulders or your knees or anything else. And if you have something that's bilateral, like one shoulder, you might as well do both shoulders at the same time. So I'm crossing my arms. I don't know if you see this. So I'm holding both shoulders. So if it's a knee, do both knees. If it's a hip, do both hips if you want. Or if it's extremely uncomfortable, put both hands together on the front or on the back, or one on the front, one on the back. It's your choice. Because sometimes it's hard to put the hand behind the back if it's like the mid-spine. So you say it's your sacroiliac, is that correct? Stan,
I don't know what a sacroiliac is.
Okay, your sacrum is like a butterfly. It's where your sitting bones are, and it goes up to your belt. That's your sacrum. And then at the top of your belt there is L5, 4, 3, 2 on the lumbar vertebrae.
Okay,
so
that's where my problems are.
So that's where what I want you to touch now, and we're going to go through it. And I'm going to do my best to slow down for the breathing. So I'd like you to breathe in through the nose, and your eyes are open, and bring your chin down. So we're doing it for a count of 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we bring our chin level and blow out through the pursed lips. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eyes open, breathe in, chin down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chin level, blow out, pursing the lips. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Eyes open. I caught you. Eyes open.
I
5
can't follow
times.
instructions.
I'm gonna say it each time, okay? So, and now breathe in, chin down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eyes open.
All right. Wait, this isn't going to work.
Well, okay. You do it. This is your homework. You do it 5 times, eyes open, 5 times, eyes closed.
Yeah, forget it. Forget it.
You're welcome.
It's working for the rest of us, Dan.
Well, good. That's fine. I don't follow instructions, and
okay, so
that trying to tell me what to do or what to think, I have a problem with that.
Well,
Marty, I just was sorry to interrupt. I was just going to mention that at the beginning, when you were going through to converse with him, the best technique to deal with Stanley on this would be to write it out in a format page, PDF, and send it to him so that he can try and follow it, or a video.
I'll do exactly that. I was about to say that, Michael. I have a video, 6 minutes, 36 seconds, done by my teacher.
Good. Great. Send them that, please.
Oh, that'd be Marty. That'd be super if you just put that video link in the chat so everyone can see.
You're reading my mind. How did you get so psychic? I'm going to go to it now.
I know. I was born that way.
Okay, that you're. Well, I'm glad you didn't change. Touch for Health, kinesiology. See it to believe it. I haven't got it yet.
Part of it, Stan, is you're just very, very fatigued. You should probably let go.
No. I don't do very well ever following instructions, and certainly having people tell me what to do or think doesn't go very well with me. But I have had this problem with my back for years, and now I'm supposed to be seeing a spine specialist who wants to give me injections after I have another MRI of my spine.
Well,
which I haven't been able to schedule because Yeah,
Right.
all this
So
stuff goes
Get
on.
I have to go to
different
Zoom.
opinions on that, Stanley, please.
And I have to
Yeah.
laugh and interject here, Stanley. You think this man's telling you what to do? Wait till you go into the MRI zone and those people start telling you how to behave and how to move and what to do. This man
Yeah.
is offering you such a gift, and I really do hope you'll take this in.
It's
Maybe
in.
not
Well,
today.
one thing at a
I put
time.
it in. Everybody, it's in there. I suggest we watch it right now.
Yeah,
What?
good idea.
Could we do
There's
that?
something you put in the chat?
Yeah, I
Sure.
put in.
How long is it, Marty? How long is it?
It's 6 minutes, 36 seconds. Actually, it says 35 seconds.
From in 3 seconds.
That's
From
good to me.
in three. Okay, well.
Every
All right.
word
Well,
it says is important.
YouTube is giving me a scam first. I have to skip that. Use of magnets in the AK practice.
Yes, please.
The 35th annual Touch for Health kinesiological.
Marty, since you gave us the link, I'm going to watch it that way because I got to go. I got
It's
to.
very good. It's a short clip.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you something, though, that's very important that I discovered from one of my colleagues in Wisconsin. And that is that 75% of the information that goes
Okay,
into our
now all this
brain,
noise is happening. I'm turning off everything.
and if your visual reflexes on your skull are not on, it won't get into your brain. So when you watch the video, he never explained that. I've been in person to some of his courses. He never explained this. So if you can see my head here, where's my head?
All right. Well, see,
Right
the
about
problem
here.
is right now, I don't know what in the world you're talking about, why you're talking about it, or anything. So you're doing stuff now. You're expecting there's some kind of transmission of information from you to me. It's not working.
Well, if it's not for you, it's for the benefit of the others, because
Okay, well,
when they
fine.
watch
All
the
right.
video, I want them to notice that he's using his hands to help the anterior neck flexions, the chin going down and up, and he's holding these particular points to open up the cranial visual reflexes, and that could be critical for some people. Yes, Diana's got
About
it.
eliminating unnecessary suffering in some ways.
I would say so. So enjoy, watch the video as many times as you like. I've watched it probably about 20 times, and I always learn something new watching it.
All right,
And ask
thanks.
somebody to do it for you. It's helpful. It's really relaxing to let somebody help you move your neck and your head. You can do it yourself though, if you want. It's
All
helpful
right.
to have
So
someone
this is
make sure you keep
a
your eyes
video
open.
that's titled Touch for Health Applied Kinesiology Demonstration. And this is supposed to do something for my spine.
Yes, he shows the example. Like this is like the whole thing was like an hour or more. This is 6 minute, 36 second short clip. It says in orange, a short clip, a short clip, a short clip. And what it shows is the injury recall technique, which is for past physical trauma and muscle memory. We get that muscle memory. It's devastating because if you do not get rid of the original injury, you get prone to re-injuring the same place again and again and again.
I don't
Some
have an
people call it,
injury.
but some people call it being injury prone.
I don't have
But
an
for us, an
injury.
injury is a pinprick. It's a needle. It's an injection. It's a scar. It's being body checked. It's falling down. It's hitting your head. Those are all injuries. The most devastating injuries are the sprained ankle, mammogram, and root canals. And that's where you're going to see in this demo, her leg as a control measure is not very flexible and it ends up going over her head because she has all three: sprained ankle, mammogram, and root canal. And I was in the room. This is July 10th, 2010 at Pittsburgh Sir Robert Morris University. Not Sir, but Robert Morris University.
And Marty, when you say mammogram, you mean just having been given a mammogram?
Yeah, because of the plates and because of the x-rays.
Yeah.
So men can have x-rays around their heart area. To me, that's an injury as well, because the torus is so powerful and the
All
x-rays
right.
are
I'm going to
powerful.
leave and let you guys talk to each other. And Marty, if you want to help me, you have to get me together with myself. I can't
Sure,
be
I will
here with
send
a
you,
bunch
well,
of
you have the
people.
video now. And now
I have a video and I don't know what it's for and I don't know anything about it. And like I'm trying to tell you, I cannot do this way. I don't know
Okay.
what way it would work, but it's
Well,
certainly not working now.
Michael
I'm
was
going to let you and
suggesting that.
Diana, I'm going to make
So,
Diana host and I'm going to leave.
so if I
And
wrote down the steps, like
I don't know what steps or what for or why or anything. You're talking to somebody that doesn't understand how to listen, and I don't know what you're talking about. And if I don't know what you're talking about, I can't listen.
yeah, I'm
And I
asking you,
can't
can
listen
you
and
read?
think at the same time.
Can you
So
read though? Can you read? I can write you
I don't
something.
know. Maybe at this point. I'm kind of frustrated and I'm hungry and I don't want to be here anymore.
That's important.
And yes, and so you're
Eat
trying to
and
talk to me, but you're not talking to me. You're talking to other people, and I got to get out of here.
it's a
So
bigger
see you
audience.
guys
Thank you.
later.
Bye, Stanley. We love you.
All right. Well, thank you for
We
that.
do love you.
But it's not the right time for me to get more
Yeah,
tea
super.
to try to address my spine.
Enjoy your break and your rest.
Thank you.
I know that when
And
I'm in pain, it's
I'm going to
difficult to
save the
listen.
chat. And what else do I have to do? I have to turn off everything that's still on. Stop this. Stop. And stop recording.
So does everyone else
Stop.
have the